Hey, Money Masters, how are you all? I hope you all are doing well. Listen, this is Lexi Johnson. If you're new to the group, welcome to our Money Mastery for Her group. You are now viewing our the Wealth Seed podcast, and I am Lexi Johnson, host of this podcast, leader of the Money Mastery for Her group. And today we're doing, our weekly segment, right? So normally, I come to you all on Fridays, but some of you may know I have a grandson, our first grandson, right? He's 2 months. He's here with me for a little bit. And of course, y'all know he's running the show, right? He is running the show. But anyway, as you come on into the room, listen, let me know who you are, where you are watching from. I should be able to see your comments. If not, you all know I come back and I address all the comments as many as I can. But I definitely acknowledge you if you said hello and that you're here. So do that because I always love to acknowledge who's watching. Right? Let me know who you are, where you're watching from. All right. So for our first segment, I always love to bring to you some of the craziest money stories ever. So I have another one for you today. And this one is about a man who was living kind of as a recluse in a small apartment in New York City. So his name is Herbert Sukenik, real story. So you can look it up. He was a recluse living in a small rent-controlled apartment in New York City's Mayflower Hotel. He was one of 4 tenants who had to be swayed to move out of the Mayflower after it was purchased by developers in 2004. Okay, so developers come in, and we've seen this happen if we live long enough, in our cities where you have developers come in and they want to, move everything out of there, whether it's old hotels, whether it's, residential area that they want to come and do something else with or whatever, right? So these developers came 2004, purchased the Mayflower. There were 4 tenants, as I mentioned. Herbert was one of them. 3 of the other tenants got a substantial amount of money for moving out. Okay. One of the tenants got about $650,000. So not bad, right? Not bad at all. You definitely could take that and, find somewhere else. And Sukenik, though, he refused to move. Okay. So the developers did everything in their power to get him to leave. They even started, noisy construction, thinking that, yeah, and they did this on his side of the building, right? So they not only did they were like, let's just do some noisy construction. We're going to do the noisy construction on his side of the building, right? And maybe he'll get annoyed and he will leave. He didn't leave, right? So after 2 years, guess what Sukenik received? Guess what Sukenik received? Hey, Apostle, how are you? Good to see you. Guess what Sukenik received? He received a reported $17 million to vacate the building. And that's not all. He got an additional $2 million replacement condo, which would be rented out to him for just $1 a month. Can y'all believe it? So it paid, I don't know the reason why this man was holding on. Maybe maybe he was just like, this is my home. I'm not going anywhere. Or maybe he was smart and he was like, I'm not going to leave at the first, moment that y'all wave some money in front of my face. Right. And so, like I said, one of the other tenants got $650,000. That's not bad, right? Not bad at all. Definitely could take that and find somewhere else to go. But he held out for 2 years. And so they finally gave him 17 million. That's right, Apostle. She's like, what? They gave him 17 million and an additional 2 million replacement condo that he rented $1 a month. Wow. Right. So, I mean, they really wanted to get the work done. And so they were like, okay, it's been 2 years. We're really going to have to come with it. Tell this, share with this man what is it going to take for us to get him out of here? So I bet the other 3 tenants are like, we should have waited. I bet they're like, we should have waited. All right. Well, today I wanted to talk with you all about home equity sharing contracts or home equity sharing agreements. These are alternatives to HELOCs, okay, home equity line of credit. So, home equity line of credit, most people, if you're a homeowner, you might be familiar with the term, is where you take out a line of credit against the equity in your home, but you have to pay it back. There's monthly payments, it's interest, all that stuff, right? Well, the home equity sharing, excuse me, sharing contract or agreement is an alternative to that. It allows you to exchange equity in your home for cash. It's an option for homeowners who can't afford an additional monthly payment or aren't eligible for traditional financing. So let me kind of share with you, go a little bit deeper on how these actually work. A shared equity agreement allows you, the homeowner, to receive this lump sum payment that you can use however you like. Okay. You can do this without taking on debt or monthly payments. And I know that sounds like, what? Y'all have to excuse me. I still have a cold. So I'm coughing and my eyes are watering, but I'm here. So, anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, so yes, you get this lump sum payment that you can use however you like. You don't take on any debt or monthly payments. Okay. So in return, the investing company, what happens is they get a percentage of the future value of your home. Okay. So when you go to sell the home or refinance the home, then they will get, their portion out of it. So there aren't monthly payments. And as I mentioned, you've got to buy out the investing company in some kind of way. So again, that's when you sell the home, when you refinance the home, things like that. Or you can just simply pay them the money, right? Now, there are two common repayment models. The first is you pay back the initial amount borrowed plus a predetermined percentage of any appreciation, okay? Or you pay back a predetermined percentage of the new appraised value of the home. Okay. So it's also important to note that, because your question may be, when I first learned about these, I'm like, okay, well, what if your home depreciates? It doesn't appreciate. What if it depreciates, right? So if it depreciates, the investing company will share in that loss, and the amount you owe will be less than the amount you had owed had the home maintained the same value throughout the terms. I know it sounds crazy, but these are how these actually work. Okay. These are how these actually work. So let's talk about some of the benefits and then some of the downsides to this, and who would actually be, again, who would actually be good to do this. So benefits. You don't have to make monthly payments. Okay. So if you're a person, you wanted to take out a home equity line of credit, but you were like, because I just can't take on any more monthly payments, then this may be an option for you. Okay. Because you don't take on monthly payments. The cash you receive is provided in exchange for equity in your home. So you don't have to pay interest or repay the principal amount each month. Okay. So that's how this is set up, and that's why you can not have payments, because it's about it's an exchange for the equity in your home, and we know equity builds over time, right? So the investment company, here's another benefit: the investment company shares in the risk. If the value of your home depreciates, then the investment company will share in that loss, meaning you may owe less than the original investment. So that's cool, because it, really takes away some risk, right? Because most people are like, okay, what's the catch? Or, what's the risk? And if your home depreciates, that would certainly be a risk, because you're like, I don't know, because we can't guarantee anything, right? And so if the home depreciates, you don't want to be stuck having to pay, an amount, and the home is not even worth that anymore. Now, another benefit is that poor credit is accepted, but here's why. Since the home equity share agreements aren't loans, okay, you're not making monthly payments back. It's not a debt. It's an investment, okay, in your property. Then credit, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to have squeaky clean credit to do this. So homeowners with poor credit are eligible. Then there's also no income requirements. Okay. Like, whoa, right? And this is why I said at the top, it's good for people who cannot qualify for traditional financing because they accept poor credit and there's no income requirements. Okay. Because again, this is about the equity in your home. So the home equity sharing companies aren't reviewing your ability to follow a repayment schedule because there is no repayment schedule, right? So steady income isn't required. They could care less whether or not you have income, don't have income, or whatever, because they'll get their money when the home is sold or refinanced or whatever the case may be. Okay. So now let's talk about some downsides. Um, One of the downsides is you could miss out on the growth. Okay. You could miss out on growth if home prices go up significantly in your area. So you won't fully benefit if your home appreciates because the investment company owns some of the equity. I mean, that's what it is. It's a home equity sharing agreement. So you're sharing the equity, right? So that's, you know, some what we call these like give and take, if you can't qualify for traditional loans, and this is the way that will, help you to get done what you need to get done. There's a trade-off, right? All right. So another downside is you could end up paying more than with a traditional home equity loan. And it's likely to happen if the property value really rises. Again, if it rises significantly, because again, this is about the appreciation of the home. Okay. So it's not a line of credit like the HELOC, okay, where you put on, monthly payment plans. Again, this is on the home equity. So of course, if the value of the home skyrockets, then you're going to pay a little bit more to the investing company, because again, this is an equity sharing contract or an equity sharing agreement. Okay. So you're going to pay a certain percentage of whatever the equity is, right? All right. The other downside is that you need sufficient equity in your home. You usually can't enter into an equity sharing agreement if you have a large amount of existing debt on your home. Okay, so you need to have some equity in your home. You can't do this if there's no equity in your home, if you're upside down in that loan, right? Got to have some equity. All right. Your equity may be undervalued. Okay, so some companies make a risk adjustments to the value of the home to protect their investment. So if your home is undervalued, that's not a good thing, because on top of it being, so they do evaluate, you have a valuation, right? Said home is worth 500,000. They're going to come in and they are going to do an adjustment, okay, a risk adjustment, okay, because they'll say, okay, they say it's 500,000, but what if it's not, right? So maybe we're going to do like 2.5% risk adjustment, which then brings it down to the adjusted value to 487,000 something, right? So if your home is undervalued, let's say your home is really worth 600,000, okay, but it's for whatever reason undervalued by whomever at 500,000, then as you can see, right, you may not get the full value of your home's equity. So it's important, that the valuations are done correctly. And the only other downside is you'll have to pay the appraisal fees. Okay, so typically the investing company will require you to get the fair market value of your home as estimated by a licensed appraiser before they offer a final investment amount. I don't think that that's unfair, right? Um, and I think that that's something that, if you're going to do this, that you should be willing to do. Okay, so this doesn't affect credit score because This is not, that kind of, it's not a loan. It's an equity sharing agreement. Okay. Now, can your credit score impact how much cash you receive? Yes, it can. That's the short answer. That yes, it can. Okay. The amount of cash you receive is determined by a lot of factors. And it includes things like the appraisal value, any pre-existing housing debt, credit worthiness, how you use the property, so on and so forth, right? So yes, your credit score can dictate like actually how much cash they're willing to give you, but it's not like they're going to deny you because of your credit score, because again, this is not a loan where you have to make monthly payments. Okay. Now, the question is whether or not a home equity sharing agreement, equity sharing contract is for you or not. So let's talk about that. Um, so since it's not a form of debt, right, it's a good option for homeowners who need cash but can't take on new monthly payments, right? Or you don't meet the eligibility requirements of a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit. So while a lender is trying to determine if you can repay the loan, the investment company, they're not concerned about repayment. What they're trying to determine is the likelihood of your home appreciating in the future. That's what they are looking at, okay? This home is 160,000, valued at 160,000 now. Is it going to appreciate over the next, and whatever the term is that, this is going to be in place, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Is the home going to appreciate? That's what they're looking at, okay? So this difference, again, it allows for homeowners that have low credit scores, even as low as 500, to be eligible for an investment. Okay. Um, so that's who it's good for. Now, if you don't want to give up a portion of your home's equity, right? You don't want to share your equity with anybody else, and you can afford the additional payments, monthly payments, and you can meet the eligibility requirements from the traditional lenders, then the home equity loan, home equity line of credit may be the better choice for you. Okay. So hopefully this is helpful to some of you out there. Now, I want to tell you how can you leverage this home equity sharing agreement or home equity sharing contract? How can you leverage it and allow that money to make money for you, right? So people can take out these things for all kinds of reasons. They may want to do some work on their current home. They may want to purchase a new home. They may want to, get investment property, all of that. And so my thing is, if we're going to take it out, look at, how can I use this as an investment? How can I have this money go to work for me? And how can I get, how can that money, how can I grow this, right? I get $100,000. How can I make this? I don't want to just spend it. How can I make this $100,000 become $500,000, right? $1,000,000, right? So you can take, because again, you can use this money however you want, right? So you can take this money. Absolutely, Apostle. Go make this money work for you, right? And again, for people who don't have the greatest credit and you can't take on loans, this is, this is a great option, right? You can take this money and you can go buy your go buy an investment property, right? Whether you're gonna, do a flip or rent it out, fix it and rent it, whatever you're gonna do, but you can go buy an investment property. You can take this money and you can go invest in another business, right? So maybe you personally don't want to, do all the house flipping or renting and fixing and renting and all of that. You don't have to do that. You can invest in a company that does that, right? Or again, you could take this, a portion of this money, invest it in paper assets, your stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and all of that. You can start a business, right? How can you take that money, be smart about it, maybe you do want to do some work on your home so that you can increase, the value of your home and sell it or whatever the case may be. But how can you have that money during the term that you have, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? And make it work for you, make that money compound, so that when you sell the property, right, and you have to share in the you have to share in the equity, right, you got to buy out the investment company. It's not a big deal because you done already went and tripled the money, quadrupled the money, right, by doing some various things with the money. This is how we create wealth. This is how we begin to leave that legacy of wealth. Apostle says, yes, you are talking my language today. You already know, right? We speak that same language. So I thought I would share that with you all today. Hopefully that is was very helpful for you all. I would love to know if there's someone, in the group who actually goes and does this, because that's what we're here for. It would be great to hear that a couple of you were like, you know what, this I can do, right? I have a home. I have equity in the home. I can do this, home equity sharing agreement, home equity contract, and really and really begin to create wealth. Okay. So I would love to hear it if somebody does it in this group. Actually, we are, my husband and I are actually thinking about doing it as well. And I think it's just a matter of time, actually, before we do. We're thinking of it for different reasons. We already have investment properties and things like that, but there is a company that we're looking at investing in. They're doing some work over in, they're doing some work here in the U.S. They're doing some work over in Africa as well. And so they've got some big plans, a lot of things going on. And so my husband and I are in the process of discussing and deciding if we want to invest in this company. And if so, how much do we want to invest? It's going to be very, very sizable. And we're thinking we could maybe leverage one of the properties that we have to do this instead of using our own monies, and make that money make money, right? So, yeah, hope this was very, very helpful for you all. If there are any questions, make sure that you drop them in the chat. I will be happy to come and answer them. Yes, she said, create wealth. Absolutely. So I flip and partner with private lenders and pay high rate of return. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. 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 That brings up another thing. I'm glad you said that, because this is what I wanted to mention too. And I'm glad that you said that about private lenders, because you can even actually take this money and become a lender yourself. Right. So, and I'm kind of mentioned it, but I want to hit it directly on, because I talked about investing in another, company. But you don't even have to invest like in another, you can invest in companies or whatever, but you can help other business startups or other businesses. If you think startups are too risky, you're not quite sure you want to get into that, funding a startup and wondering if you're going to make your money back or not. But you can actually become a lender. So you can take this money, put it in a muni bond, a utility bond, or something like that, where it's earning, some percentage. It's not going to be super high because you're not leaving it in, it's money that you have access to. Okay. Obviously, because if you're going to allow people to borrow from you, you have access to that money. So you're not going to get super high rates of return, right? But depending on the type of fund you pick, you could get, 2%, 4%. I've seen some as high as 7% return. But you can use that money and become a private lender. You can become an investor. You can become a lender. Let's just keep it plain like that yourself, right? And one of the things that I love, like in the kingdom, if we can position ourselves to do this type of thing, like we can do this without creating all of the hoops and the jumps and all of that stuff that traditional banks will make you go through and still deny you, right? Like we're going to have some criteria. Certainly you would have some, things, qualifications, things that people would have to meet, but it doesn't have to be as strenuous. And certainly, your decision to loan to somebody or whatever, you got to have some things in place, right? So, but you can that money, people can come to you, borrow from you. You charge them a small percentage, not something crazy like a bank or, somewhere else would do. And, you help them and they help you, right? You grow your money. Your money continues to grow. You continue to use it, but you're also, investing in the kingdom, advancing the kingdom, right? So there's lots of things that can be done. Lots of positive things that can be done, leveraging something like this to advance the kingdom. So, anywho, I've been on here long enough. I hope that today's information was very, very helpful for you all. And again, if there's anyone in this group who ends up doing this, I'd love to know about it. Would love to interview you and have you share your experience. If I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, anyway, if there's somebody who has done it, let me know, because I want to talk with you about your experience. Maybe interview you too for the group, so they can hear as well. All right. Thank you, Apostle. This is great information. Thank you very much. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here so y'all can stop hearing my congested self. I'm gonna get out of here and we'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of Money Mastery for Her, where we are on a mission to change the face of wealth. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.